I was doubled over with period cramps when Ryan said he'd get me a hot milk tea. But when he came back, he handed me one that was only room temperature. When I questioned him, he brushed it off. We happened to run into Lily, and he said she wanted the hot one, so I gave it to her. Room temp is basically the same for you, right? In the cutting November wind, I remembered how, for 3 years, whenever it came down to a choice between me and Lily, Ryan always chose Lily, and suddenly everything felt meaningless. "Let's break up," I heard myself say, calm and even. He laughed like it was a joke. "Which one are you blocking this time? My number or my socials?" he said. What he didn't know was that before I even said it, I had already applied for an Ivy League offer. This time I was really leaving. "All this over a cup of milk tea, Nina? Seriously?" he said, still amused. "Go ahead, block my number or my messages. I'll wait. You'll add me back in a couple of days anyway." His voice carried that thin, smug edge, and he even turned to shrug helplessly at Lily and a few friends who were just walking over, clearly mouthing, "She's throwing a fit again." Lily was sipping a steaming red bean milk tea, her gaze flicking between us with a hint of smugness. I looked at the boy I'd liked for 3 years, the one I chased, the one I'd planned my entire future around. The weight in my lower belly melded with the heaviness in my chest until it settled into a cold, lucid clarity. I didn't look at any of them again. I just turned and left. The cramps still throbbed, but strangely my steps felt lighter. All over a cup of milk tea. Ryan would never know how much accumulated disappointment and shattered hope that one drink finally crushed. I had liked him since the first day of freshman orientation, when he took my heavy suitcase from my hands with that clean, bright smile and clear eyes. I thought I'd found someone who shared my aspirations. I pushed myself to keep up with him, took the same electives, joined his clubs, stayed up nights drilling problems just to be as good as he was. I'd even set my sights on getting into our university's graduate program with him, convinced that was our shared future. Not anymore. I had already applied for an Ivy League offer, the dream he once dismissed offhand as too difficult and unrealistic. The disappointment that had built up over time had almost drained my love for him away. So even before I said break up, I'd already decided to go. 3 years of history was the only thing that kept me from saying it out loud, until now. I gave up preparing for grad school with him. I gave up him. My heart no longer beat for him, and my future would no longer orbit around him. Right after the breakup, I blocked and deleted every way he could reach me, every platform he might think of. My actions were swift, clean, and yes, almost cruelly satisfying. The world stayed quiet for a week, and I thought I was finally at peace. Then one night, a classmate, someone who still crossed paths with Ryan but got along with me, hesitated and sent me a screen recording. "Nina, see for yourself," she wrote. "Don't let it get to you." The video was filmed in the study room. Ryan sat with a few of his buddies and Lily. It was obviously recorded in secret. His voice was the same confident, careless tone. "A few days of the cold shoulder is her limit," he said. "She'll come back on her own soon. She always does." Someone laughed. "Don't be so sure. Nina's amazing. There are seniors lining up for her. What if she gets into a better school than ours?" Ryan gave a short, derisive laugh. "Perfect. Let her hit a wall and face reality. People shouldn't aim too high." Then came the familiar gripe, "She's just too picky, always making a fuss over nothing, just like Lily." The camera shifted and caught Lily pouting, her voice sugary and intimate. "Ryan, you got a girlfriend and forgot about your little sister. After all these years spoiling you, what a waste." The people around them burst out laughing, and some of them even started comparing me to her. He said I was the academic type and Lily was the social type. I knew what he meant, that I was too serious, too rigid, not flexible enough. Ryan gave a little laugh. All right. Nina is my girlfriend and Lily is like my little sister. You're both important. I just want Nina to stop being so hung up on things, to be a little more understanding." Lily jumped in at just the right moment, her voice so sweet it was cloying. Got it. I'll try not to bother Ryan in the future, so your precious little princess won't get upset. I'm such a sinner." The video ended there. I sat at my desk holding my phone for a long time, not moving. My feelings were a snarl of threads, but what finally settled in me was a cold, bone-deep clarity. So in his eyes, My feelings, my effort, even my leaving were nothing but a trivial tantrum. He was standing above it all, waiting for me to come back humiliated, and still blaming me for not being mature enough. I went quiet for a moment, then called my dad. When he picked up, his voice was full of concern. "Nina, how have you been? The last time you said you were giving up the grad school exam here and applying abroad, did you mean it? And what about Ryan?" I kept my voice steady. "Ryan and I broke up. I'm serious." There was a brief silence on the other end. I went on. "I've already applied for an offer from Princeton. I want to go out and see more, learn on a better platform. I'm not doing this out of spite, I'm doing it for myself." After a long pause, my dad spoke again, warm with relief and support. "Good. As long as you've thought it through, I'm behind you. Tell us when you need to prepare materials." After we hung up, I opened the delivery app and ordered myself a milk tea. In this bitter cold, a warm milk tea just tastes better. A few days later, I started packing. Everything Ryan had given me went into a box, especially the grad school stuff, his carefully organized notes, the reference books he'd pressed on me, even the expensive, meaningful gifts, the limited edition fountain pen, the e-reader he said would help my writing flow. They had once carried sweetness and our shared hopes. Now they were only ironic. When I finished packing, the box was heavy. The weight of my 3 years that I wasn't taking back. Carrying the box downstairs, I planned to find a chance to return everything and make a clean break. As soon as I reached the dorm entrance, I ran into Ryan walking Lily back. She slipped a candy from the pocket of his coat as naturally as breathing, unwrapped it and popped it into her mouth, an easy, intimate motion she'd done 1,000 times. Ryan looked just as used to it. When they saw me and the big box in my arms, both of them stopped. Ryan's gaze landed on the box. He froze for a second, then that knowing, slightly mocking look slid over his face. He gave a short laugh. "Seriously? Nina, you're really doing this?" His tone was so sure it was suffocating. "All right, quit making a scene. Keep these and use them. If you hand them back now when you cool off and wear makeup, you'll just have to take them again. Be good. Don't make it complicated." It was like he'd already written out my every move in his script. Before I could speak, Lily stepped forward and gave Ryan's arm a familiar little pat. "Ryan, what kind of way is that to talk?" She scolded lightly, then turned to me with an expression of helpless innocence. "Nina, don't be mad. It's my fault, isn't it? My professor asked Ryan to save me seats, let me look over his homework, and even pretend to be my boyfriend to fend off guys. That must have made you misunderstand. We're really like brother and sister. We've been like this since we were kids. There's nothing else going on. I'll be careful from now on, okay? Please don't fight with Ryan." Watching her put on that soft, performative act and seeing that look of approval on Ryan's face, as if to say, "See how sensible Lily is, how considerate," the anger I'd been holding down these past few days finally blew past the breaking point. I ignored Lily and fixed my eyes on Ryan. My voice sounded so cold I barely recognized it. "Ryan, listen carefully. I'm not throwing a fit." I lifted the heavy box in my hands. "I don't want any of this. Do whatever you want with it." Then I dropped the box at his feet with a thud. The corner split against the ground. Books, notes, and stationery spilled out in a messy scatter. I didn't even glance at Ryan's face, which had gone stiff with embarrassment and annoyance, nor at Lily's exaggerated gasp. I just turned on my heel and walked straight back into the dorm. Behind me came Ryan's angry, low growl, followed by the sound of him kicking the box. Nina, real mature. Back in my room, I collapsed onto my bed and drifted into a heavy sleep. I dreamed of the past with him, freshman check-in day, his clean white t-shirt, the bright smile as he took my heavy suitcase. "Which dorm are you in, classmate? I just finished unpacking, I'll help you." We picked the same dry, mandatory gen ed classes, worked side by side in club activities. I passed him water during basketball games, and he ruffled my hair with a smile. From a quiet crush to cautious hand-holding to making it official, I once believed he was the right person. He used to say he loved how serious I was, that we were moving forward together. When did it change? Probably when Lily transferred into our school sophomore year. Our families had known each other for years. They were childhood playmates. Lily's personality was outgoing, lively, playful, the polar opposite of my calm, focused nature. From then on, in Ryan's life, Lily needs help became the top priority command. If she was struggling with an exam, he stayed up late highlighting her key points. If she had a social conflict she couldn't handle, he stepped in to fix it. If she was heartbroken and in a mood, he ditched our date to take her out to clear her head. I complained, I felt wronged, and Ryan would always explain. Lily's parents specifically asked me to look after her. She's like my kid sister. Nina, be understanding, okay? Later he didn't even bother explaining. He got used to handling Lily first and then tossing me a few careless words to soothe me. And somehow I kept persuading myself to accept that twisted hierarchy, until that rainy day. It was the deadline for forming teams for a crucial project in our major. Ryan and I had already agreed to team up. We needed to confirm and submit before the cutoff. But that afternoon I couldn't reach him at all. His phone didn't connect. My messages went unanswered. Worried something had happened, I ran out into the downpour and searched every place he might be: the classrooms, the library, the gym, his usual milk tea spot. Rain pelted my body like ice. Panic clawed at me as I rushed around, half out of my mind. In the end, I missed the team deadline because I couldn't find my teammate. The strong team I'd hoped to join gave up waiting for me because I'd vanished. That night, my fever spiked. I was burning up, shivering uncontrollably. The next day, I dragged myself alone to the campus clinic for an IV. Sitting on a cold chair, watching the drip flow into my veins, dizzy and weak, I absent-mindedly scrolled through my feed, and there it was, a brand new post from Lily. A selfie. She looked a little worn out but beaming. In the background, Ryan was passing her snacks, his profile patient and gentle. The caption read, "Even if I bombed the exam, it's okay. I've got my designated comfort puppy." So his phone was off. He'd gone dark because Lily bombed an exam, had a meltdown, and he rushed over to comfort her. Staring at that cheerful scene on my screen while feeling the cold IV needle in the back of my hand and the heat burning on my forehead, my heart dropped into a midwinter ice pit. I didn't even have the strength left to be disappointed. So Lily's mood mattered more than my crucial project, my health, and my panic. After I got better, everything became perfectly clear. I had to put my own life first. A few weeks later, I was in a quiet corner of the library gathering research when my email chime sounded. In the subject line were Princeton's name and a bright "Congratulations." I opened it. The official offer and the I-20 form were right there in the message. My heart kicked hard a few times, and a steady, excited warmth spread through me. I had finally grabbed hold of a future that was mine. I started reviewing the visa document checklist carefully, mapping out the timeline in my head. Just then, out of the corner of my eye, I caught two familiar figures entering the study area, Ryan and Lily. They didn't seem to notice me as they sat not far away. Lily naturally slid a thick packet of materials toward Ryan, pointing to a section with a helpless, pleading look. He took it and bent his head to explain a few things to her, but his eyes drifted in my direction more than once, as if waiting for me to react. Jealous or flustered like before, just because Lily was near him, I calmly looked away, packed my laptop and papers one by one, and left through another exit without giving either of them a second glance. That night, a popular thread on the campus forum featured a candid photo of me studying in the library, head down, focused on my book. The poster wrote that girls who study seriously are irresistible and asked which department I was in and whether I was single. Someone replied with my department and my name. I saw it by chance and typed back, "Thanks. I'm focused on my studies right now. No other plans." I didn't expect that simple reply to hit one of Ryan's nerves. He used a new number to text me, the same old lecture wrapped in comfort. "Have you made enough of a scene? I saw what you posted on the forum." "That's enough. Let's talk about winter break plans. My mom has asked several times. She says we should go home together and meet the parents." He was still planning introductions, as if nothing had changed. I checked every social platform to confirm he was still blocked, then added the new number to the blacklist without a second thought. The next day, after an elective, I had just stepped out of the classroom when Ryan cornered me at the hall's turn. His brows knit. He didn't look happy. "Nina, did you block every way I can reach you?" "What else did you expect?" I said evenly. "Do exes really need to stay in close contact?" "Exes?" He laughed like it was a joke. All this over 1 cup of milk tea? A tiny argument, and you have to blow it up like this? Nina, don't make a scene. You know that's not what I meant. He paused, pulled a brand new textbook from his backpack and held it out. You mentioned wanting this. It's out of print and hard to find. I pulled strings to get it. The grad exam's coming up. Studying alone is tough. Don't push yourself too hard. Did you confirm your exam registration? Don't miss the deadline. He still thought I was prepping for the grad entrance exam here, still believed his so-called help would make me come back. I looked at the book and could only find it absurd. Right then, Lily's voice cut in, sharp with impatience and grievance. Ryan, what are you doing here? I've been looking for you forever. She hurried over until she was practically pressed against him, stomped her foot, and scolded. You promised to go over my speech for the student government vice president election before noon. Do you know what time it is? Did you not read it at all? I'm freaking out. Now that you've got Nina, did you just forget about me? Lily said, shooting me a provocative glance. The dependence and wounded look on her face made it seem like Ryan was her only lifeline. A flicker of embarrassment and impatience crossed Ryan's face, but he fell into his usual habit of soothing her. All right. I'll look at it in a minute, don't panic. Then he turned back to me, eyes probing, as if he wanted to catch a trace of jealousy or anger on my face. I think you should go help her, I said coolly. Ryan froze, thrown off by the lack of the reaction he expected. He scrambled to explain. Nina, Lily's election is important. I'm just giving her a hand. You know how it is, our families. I know, I cut him off. You're responsible for her, your family. Go on, don't hold her up. My calm rattled him. He insisted, but Nina, you're my girlfriend. I just need you to be a little understanding. Once this busy stretch is over, Ryan, I interrupted again, tired of the same empty defense I'd heard 100 times. We already broke up. Your responsibilities and your family have nothing to do with me. I stepped around him and left. After I'd walked some distance, I could still make out Lily's coy, complaining tone and Ryan's irritated attempts to placate her. Later, a friend told me Ryan had posted on social media something about how communication shouldn't be this hard. Over drinks with his buddies, he was still swearing I was just throwing a tantrum and that everything would be fine after the grad exam. He lived inside the script he'd written for himself and never truly woke up. The next day, I went to the registrar to request my transcript and a certificate of enrollment for my visa interview. On the way, I ran into a mutual friend who hesitated before saying that Ryan was still trying to get updates on me, sounding restless and confused. To say I felt nothing would be a lie. 3 years of feelings aren't just dust that the wind can blow clean. For a brief moment, I even wondered if I should give him a proper, final goodbye. But the thought vanished as quickly as it came. That afternoon, the friend who'd sent me the screen recording forwarded a new screenshot. A 9-grid post Lily had just put on her moments. One photo showed Ryan's profile as he stayed up late helping her revise her speech, captioned, "Thanks for the hard work, Ryan." Another was a smiling selfie in matching hats as he took her shopping, caption, "Cheered up, mission accomplished." There was even a shot that looked like a family gathering between our two families, with the caption, "Auntie told me to push Ryan to prep for the grad exam, so much pressure. Don't worry, Auntie. I'll make sure he gets it done." In the comments, someone joked, "So Lily, what exactly is your relationship with Ryan? Childhood friends really are something else." Lily replied with a mouthless smile emoji and a vague, "Take a guess." Looking at those pictures and captions, looking at Ryan's figure in her photos, I actually felt relieved. Good, less trouble for me. I deleted the screenshot and stopped paying attention to anything related to him, throwing myself completely into my study abroad preparations. By then, I'd gathered nearly all the visa materials I needed. One night, walking back from the library, I spotted Ryan waiting at the dorm entrance. In the dark, I couldn't see his expression clearly, but the impatience in his voice was obvious. "Nina, we need to talk." He stepped in front of me. "This has dragged on long enough. Start focusing on the grad exam. Don't play games with your future." Even now, he stubbornly believed I was sulking, that I was using the grad exam to threaten him. My patience was hanging by a thread. "I'll say this one last time, Ryan. We're already broken up." My future is my responsibility, I said. You don't need to worry about it, he snapped. And how exactly am I supposed to not worry? My refusal to bend clearly infuriated him. So you're really going to stay mad at me and ignore serious matters like this? Do you have any idea how competitive the grad exams are right now? Can you try to be reasonable and stop being so willful? I'm under a lot of pressure too, studying and taking care of Lily, I said, cutting straight through him. Ice cold. Right? He choked, then admitted it, only to start defending himself again. I have a responsibility to look after her. Our families are close. You can't just shrug off ties like that. Nina, why can't you try to understand how hard this is for me? I always thought you were the one who got me. How did we end up like this? I'm really exhausted. The same script again, responsibility, family ties, asking me to understand his hardship, as if he were the one doing all the heavy lifting in this relationship, the one constantly compromising, the one whose feelings kept getting ignored. I didn't want to keep circling the drain with another pointless argument. Empty calories, pure drain. You're right, I said. You are exhausted. I nodded. So now you don't have to be. Goodbye? I still turned to leave. He finally cracked and blurted, If you keep acting like this and I get in and you don't come crying to me. Even now, he thought my worth hinged on whether I got into grad school, and he was certain I wouldn't measure up to him. I didn't even bother to look back. The only thing I regret is not waking up sooner. The Princeton offer was in my hands, a wider world was waiting. His threat sounded like a child brandishing a toy arrow at a traveler ready to set out. Ridiculous. A few days later, my visa was approved without a hitch. I started packing and handling my withdrawal from school. Ryan still thought I was bluffing. Through mutual friends, he kept trying to hint that he and Lily were closer than ever. Like it would make me jealous. I brushed all of it aside. When the day came, I headed to the airport to wait for my flight. My phone rang. It was a domestic number I didn't recognize. I meant to hang up, but accidentally answered. Nina? The voice belonged to one of Ryan's closer buddies. I frowned and was about to disconnect when he rushed on. Wow. Finally got through. Where are you? Listen, Ryan is really pissed right now. We're out drinking. You should see his face. Behind him I could hear loud music and the buzz of a crowd. His tone turned teasing, egging me on. If you don't show up soon, I swear Ryan's gonna do cross-armed shots with Lily tonight. Everyone's waiting to see it. Ha ha. A round of lewd laughter burst through the speaker, people hooting in the background. Perfect, I said coolly. They're a great match. The line went quiet for a beat, like they hadn't expected that answer. I added, I'm at the airport about to go through security, so I won't be coming by to spectate. Do me a favor and tell them to have fun. In the background there was a sudden crash, like a chair being kicked over, followed by the sharp shatter of glass and a chorus of panicked shouts. Ryan, what's wrong? The call dissolved into chaos. I hung up without changing expression and blocked the number with a few quick taps. About 2 hours later, the announcement for my flight's boarding came over the speakers. I took a deep breath and headed for security. I cleared the checkpoint and was walking toward the gate when a burst of fast footsteps and someone shouting my name split the airport's quiet. Nina? Nina, stop. I stopped in my tracks. That voice, so familiar yet suddenly warped and cracking, made me turn. I saw Ryan barreling across the terminal like a man with nothing to lose. His hair was a mess, his eyes rimmed red, the buttons on his suit jacket undone. He looked wild and wrecked, nearly hurling himself into the security barrier before guards blocked him. From a distance, he locked his bloodshot gaze on me, shock and fury, and a near-breaking hopelessness flooding his eyes. Nina, he shouted. You're leaving the country? I thought you were taking the grad exam. You're really giving up over that stupid little thing? Over a cup of milk tea? Because of Lily? You're throwing away our future. Are you insane? I looked at him and for a second felt almost sorry. Even now he believed it all boiled down to a cup of milk tea and Lily. Ryan, I said evenly, we're not on the same path anymore. I wish you luck on your exams. My calm sent him over the edge. His face went ashen, his chest heaved like he had more to say. I didn't give him the chance. I turned and walked into the security line without a backward glance. When the plane took off, I watched the city shrink beneath the wing, and everything between Ryan and me stayed on that ground, finished. Life at Princeton was busier than I could have imagined. I had to adapt to an all-English classroom, shoulder intensive coursework and research, and learn to handle the small chores of daily life on my own. Every day felt like a battle. Full, but exhausting. Now and then I still saw scraps of news about them. Lily posted more often, showing the two of them studying side by side for the exams, sometimes hinting that Ryan's mood had been affected by the breakup and he wasn't doing well, her words nudging the blame toward my supposed coldness. It almost made me laugh. I scrubbed every trace of my past from social media, closed accounts I didn't need, and threw myself into my new life. My world was wide. The future was long. I had no spare energy for a play that had already ended. 2 or 3 months later, things settled into a rhythm. One weekend, my father called from overseas. After a few pleasantries, he told me Ryan had gone to our house multiple times, frantically asking for my whereabouts and contact information, to the point it was affecting his interview for the grad program. He kept pestering for updates about me, my father said, his tone laced with frustration and bewilderment. Dad sighed. "Nina, he seems to be fixating. Do you want to?" I hadn't expected him to get so obsessive that he'd involve my family. With no other choice, I used a newly registered email to send Ryan a brief note. I was aware of his behavior, he needed to stop harassing my family, and he was not to contact us again. Not long after, he sent a long reply, the lines soaked with dejection, resentment, pain, and refusal to accept reality. He kept asking why I could so decisively abandon 3 years and our shared plans over a cup of milk tea and a few instances of being ignored. He reminisced about our good times, emphasized our plans, even sounded like he was begging. I read it and answered simply, what I needed was equal respect and to be prioritized, not to live permanently behind someone else. The future we wanted was no longer the same. I chose the platform that fit me better, nothing more. Best wishes. Please do not reply. He wrote back almost immediately, his emotions boiling over, accusing me of being cold and calculating, claiming I'd planned this all along. I didn't open it. The workload at Princeton was truly heavy, sometimes I could only gnaw on dry snacks to get by. In my project group there was a Chinese-American senior named Evan Gu. He seemed a little aloof and didn't talk much, but his academic ability was outstanding. He was the professor's star student. Because we worked on the same experimental project, we started interacting more. He noticed I was often holed up in the lab and sometimes missed meals. One night, while I was up late processing data and my empty stomach was starting to hurt, Evan happened to come back from outside carrying a paper bag. He walked over to my desk as if in passing, set the bag down and said, "Picked up extra on the way," then went back to his seat. When I opened it, there was a simple meal inside, still steaming. After that, those extras happened now and then. Our exchanges grew as we discussed research. He'd give me concise pointers on technical questions, always hitting the heart of the problem. Sometimes we'd run into each other in the cafeteria, sit together, and talk briefly about school or life. We gradually became familiar. One weekend, I bought a ton of groceries at the supermarket, planning to cook a real meal for myself. As I lugged the heavy bags to my building, an unexpected figure appeared, Ryan. He looked haggard, travel-worn, with dark circles under his eyes. In his hand was a delicate paper bag, pastries by the look of it. "Nina," he called, his gaze complicated. "You look a little tired." In truth, I just wasn't wearing makeup. I had on a sweatshirt and jeans, my hair a bit messy from the shopping, but I felt great, more whole than ever. Before I could answer, he rushed on. "I know I was wrong. I've already taken some distance from her. Look, this is from your favorite pastry shop. I waited in line forever to get it. Can we, Ryan," I said, cool and even, "we ended a long time ago. Please stop showing up and disrupting my life." He acted like he hadn't heard me, his emotions rising. "How can you be so heartless over little things like that? Did you know I failed my interview? Because of you." "That was your choice," I replied calmly. "Ryan, you've never truly understood the problem. It wasn't a cup of milk tea, it wasn't Lily. It was your choices. Again and again. You always put her issues ahead of what you and I agreed on, including my most important project. and my health. You made me feel like I was always the one ignored and sacrificed. I'm making the choice that's most responsible for me." He kept arguing, his voice rough with pain and resentment. "What I feel for her is family and responsibility. Why can't you understand? Can't you give me one more chance to fix this?" A deep weariness washed over me. I didn't want to waste another word. Just then a cool voice cut in. "Nina, need a hand?" Evan Gu had just come out of the building with a folder in his hand, apparently on his way to the lab. He came to my side, gave Ryan a brief, indifferent glance, then looked at me. "There's a hiccup with the project data. We may need to discuss it now." His timing was perfect, his tone so natural it felt like we'd planned it. I turned to Ryan. "I have something to take care of. Please head back." Then I walked off with Evan toward the lab. Ryan stood rooted to the spot, staring as I left with another man. Shock, unwillingness, and finally, the realization that I had truly walked out of his world crossed his face. After that, Ryan seemed to appear near my campus once or twice more, but I ignored him completely. My days were packed with classes, experiments, and papers, and now and then I discussed research with Evan. Sometimes we ate together in the cafeteria, and our connection deepened as we learned side by side and fought through problems as a team, admiring each other along the way. Evan still didn't talk much, but his guidance was precise, and whenever I hit a snag, he would quietly step in to help. That kind of care slowly moved beyond what ordinary classmates would offer. He seemed to notice Ryan's occasional attempts to bother me too. Once, I vaguely heard him speaking to the building's security staff. After that, Ryan never showed up again. My life turned a brand new page. Time flew, and another semester was drawing to a close. One day, Evan and I had just finished celebrating a top score on a joint project in my apartment, snacks and drinks still scattered on the table, the mood light and easy. I opened my laptop to check email and, buried among the messages, saw a familiar address Ryan had used before. On impulse, I clicked. It was a very long letter, full of pain, regret, confusion, and pleading. He recounted the good times, wrote about the agony of losing me, complained about fate's cruelty, and kept asking why we had come to this. He even begged me to give him another chance, said he truly understood his mistakes now, that he had completely distanced himself from Lily, that not a day went by without remorse. I read his words without a ripple of emotion. Our old love, anger, obsession, everything, felt like a blurry dream I'd finally woken from. I was standing in a bright new day. He was still mired in the past. I didn't reply. I selected the email and hit delete. It vanished from my inbox. Later, I occasionally heard from friends back home that Ryan had been in a slump since returning, and that things with Lily were no longer close. They argued often. Meanwhile, my work at Princeton was going well. I was performing strongly, and my relationship with Evan was steadily growing through our daily rhythm together. We moved from study partners to partners in both research and life. Two people in a foreign country who could rely on each other. The future was full of challenges, but also hope. I was grateful for what I'd been through. It hurt, but it made me grow, made me see more clearly what I wanted and what I deserved. And my goal now was simple, to keep walking, steadily and without wavering, along the academic path I had chosen.